Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Triple Threat Show. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is a beautiful Wednesday, January 14th. We have a lot of big news. Yesterday was another Black Tuesday. We saw huge firings last week, but the wild card round has come and gone, and now Mike Tomlin is out of a job. This was something that we kind of hinted at in our last episode, but it is official here. We were just a couple of hours early. Not only that, but two offensive coordinators, Kevin Patullo, Greg Roman, from former playoff teams, now eliminated out of their jobs. New offensive coordinator positions have opened up. What does that mean for the likes of guys like Cliff Kingsbury and Mike McDaniel? What is the most attractive job for them to take? Or will they just take head coaching jobs? We'll talk about that and much more. We'll also give you our power rankings of the 8 teams remaining in the NFL. It's whittled down here. We're going to get a little bit more in depth on these teams and why they are ranked where they are. And then we are going to finish off our show, which we do on just about every Wednesday, with our Mehrob Minute, where we give the floor to my friend and co-host Mehrob Fatemi so he can talk about what is on his mind in the world of sports. But it's not just him today to help me out. I have two friends and co-hosts on. I, of course, have Mehrob for the Mehrob Minute, but we also have Nolan here, Nolan Jamber, to help us break down all of the biggest news from around the world of sports and in the NFL. How are you guys doing on this fine Wednesday morning?
Doing pretty well today, Jeremy. It's a wonderful Wednesday morning. We're ready to get going, and let's talk about some sports, my friend. It's got a lot of head coaching firings we got to get into.
Let's talk about some sports. We were maybe the first on the pulse here. We titled our episode yesterday, Mike Tomlin done in Pittsburgh. I doubt we were the first ones thinking this, but this had writing on the walls. This is not a firing, per se. This is Mike Tomlin stepping away. He stepped down from his team. He's no longer going to be the head coach after 19 seasons. That is 19 winning seasons in a row. He goes down never having a losing season in the NFL, which is just absolutely insane. We can talk all day about how the Steelers were never really contenders in the last 5 to 10 years after Ben Roethlisberger retired, how the Steelers never really stood a chance in the playoffs, how they were just straight mediocre. But when you look at that roster, that's coaching right there. That's why coaching matters so much. In the NFL, really, more than any other sport, coaching matters so much, at least from the 4 major American sports. You see it. Because Mike Tomlin, if there ever was a floor raiser in the NFL, it is him. He gets that team that's just mediocre to the playoffs just about every year, and then they run into just a great team or a good team, and they get into big trouble, which is why they've lost 7 straight games. This was the right time to do it. It really was. It's tough to say goodbye when you're having success, but clearly this team was spinning their tires. They were stuck in the mud. They weren't going anywhere anytime soon. This is as close to a win-win situation as you're going to get with a great team and a great franchise and a great coach in the NFL. This, to me, feels like an Andy Reid situation if he decides to go back into coaching. If not, he could go to television. My big thing, Nolan, he's not going to be unemployed for very long. Talk to me a little bit about Mike Tomlin here, because this is the major story going around the world of the NFL right now.
Seeing him get fired was not, or stepping down wasn't a surprise. I think we all kind of saw it coming after, the 7 straight playoff loss. I mean, it was due because he's just been there too long. All good things come to a close, and after, I guess, just that 7 straight, he was just like, I'm done. Hasn't won a playoff game since, 2016? Don't get me wrong. Still one of the best coaches of all time. Obviously, 19 winning seasons, that's not something you can just easily do. You can't just coach for 20 years, coach for basically as long as I've been alive and win every season. I mean, that's just very hard to do, and he's done it. I mean, he just happened, towards the end of the stretch, once Big Ben retired, the teams just weren't as good. They didn't have as an elite as a quarterback that be having like Mason Rudolph, Kenny. You go from Ben Roethlisberger to Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett. I mean, you're just not going to be the greatest team of all time with those 2 quarterbacks at the helm of your offense. But you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you expect different results. Still make the playoffs, winning record 10-7, and you lose first round again. And it's not a close game either. It's a slaughter, like every other wild card game has been, or first round game has been, just a slaughter, 30-6. 48-30. I mean, they're just blowout after blowout. He's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. You don't win 19 seasons in a row, but at the end of the day, I mean, you just couldn't get it done in the playoffs, and it was just time.
From a Steelers perspective here, obviously Mike Tomlin is or was their plan for a while. The Steelers have famously been very good at finding coaches. There's only been 3 coaches since World War II to coach that organization, which is insane. All of their coaches that they've hired have been really young. Both Cower and Mike Tomlin, when they were hired, were just 34 years old, and that is really impressive to be able to find coaches that can consistently be great. That's part of their organizational success. That's why they have been touted as one of the best organizations in football, Mehrob, because they can find some coaches. Again, I look at this as a win-win. How do you view this situation for the Steelers for Mike Tomlin, and what do you think Mike Tomlin does next?
This was kind of the best case scenario, I think, for this organization. I think you're completely right with it being a win-win. I think it was the best way for Mike Tomlin to step away. He wasn't fired. He walked into Art Rooney's office and said, "Hey, I want to step away. I want to move on." And honestly, with the amount of pressure that was on his shoulders, he had 19 straight winning seasons. He had 19 straight winning seasons, and everybody was sitting there asking for him to get fired or was calling for his job. It makes sense because at some point or another, you have to turn the page to a new chapter, especially when things aren't changing. But when I'm looking at it, I mean, it was a win-win situation completely in both ways. I think Mike Tomlin's gonna take a year off, at least probably go to TV for a little bit. But I expect him to be back in coaching at some point. He's still a good head coach. He's still a player's coach. Players love playing for him, and I think that goes a long way in the NFL. Now, where is he going to go? I think there's a couple jobs that, especially, I think the Green Bay job might open up next year. The more I'm looking at it, the more it makes sense that Matt LaFleur is going to stay as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. If he has another bad season, though, I expect that job to open up. And that could be the perfect job for Mike Tomlin to come back and jump right back into the football game with a good team like the Packers. Um, I just think the Steelers need to move on, and we touched on it a lot yesterday. They need to get themselves a future quarterback. They need to find a way to get a quarterback. Not Aaron Rodgers, not Kenny Pickett, not Mason Rudolph. Get a legit quarterback, a guy that you can put on the helm over there for the next at least 5 to 10 years that you can rely upon, that you can build your team around. Because until that happens, there's no focal point to this offense. You're just plugging pieces in and out of the lineup.
And that's what it's been for the last, let's be generous and say 10 years here. Really ever since Big Ben retired, it's been that plug and play. Try and find a quarterback that's going to be able to do everything that Big Ben did and keep that team afloat. It is very impressive, again, that Mike Tomlin has been able to coach this team to the playoffs and a winning record over and over and over again. But I do want to talk a little bit about what the Steelers do next, because they are looking for a new head coach. And if you look at their history again, they hire young coaches that are going to be able to stay there for a long time. So what are the candidates? What are these young coaches out there? A lot of people are pointing to guys like Brian Flores. He has connections in the building too, obviously, Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin was the one that picked him up after he got fired from the Dolphins and that whole lawsuit was going on. That is something to take a look at, but I don't know if he's really that long-term solution that they're looking for. There's a lot of other places that they can go to try and get it. The Rams currently have a defensive coordinator who's pretty young, and Chris Shula. He's getting a couple of head coaching looks. That might be a name to look at because the Steelers like to get their defensive guys. If you're looking on the offensive side of the ball, Grant Udunski, the offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, worked in Minnesota for a little while. That's a guy that's been raved about by Kevin O'Connell and by Liam Cohen, two really great offensive minds. He's pretty young. These are some guys that you can look at to potentially fill that role as the next Steelers head coach. Generally, again, guys, we said the Steelers like to go towards the younger side and towards the defensive side. Do you see those trends holding, Nolan, or are you looking at them changing it up, maybe going offensive or going with a more established coach here? What do you see in that Pittsburgh Steelers formula, and who do you think might be their next head coach?
I think that they definitely need to step into more of an offensive side of the coach. I think their offense just is not. I mean, putting up 6 points in the wild card for like 3 straight years. I mean, that kind of just proves a point. I think you need offense. Their defense is good. They have good players. They're aging, but they're still good and still playing well. I think you just need offense. I think you need not only you need a new quarterback. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is definitely. There's no way he comes back. But you need to draft a quarterback or go trade for a young one and go get a receiver who can actually, isn't either just not good or who isn't constantly fighting fans or players. That is DK Metcalf. But I mean, he needs the Steelers need an offensive guy. I feel like they have to. Like I said, the defense is there, the offense isn't. But who can they get? I mean, obviously, if they want to go draft a quarterback who can move and who's mobile, Cliff Kingsbury wouldn't be a bad guy to go after. I mean, he likes to play with he likes to coach young quarterbacks who are mobile. He likes to build offenses around guys like that. I think he wouldn't be a bad pick if they want to build their draft around going after him. Obviously, there's Mike McDaniel, even though he's interviewing with he's actually in Detroit right now, interviewing for that OC spot. But I mean, obviously, he wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, there's a lot of offensive guys out there, but I think that they're probably best one. I think, in my opinion, if they were to go to draft a young quarterback, like let's say Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, someone like that, then they can go build around that. Then they draft Cliff, and then they go hire Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, well, again, they're not going to give up the house to go and get Mendoza because he's probably going to go number 1 overall, and that's something that's going to obviously change the face of their future. They need a quarterback, and honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to them trading the farm, trading the house to go up and get a future first, and maybe a player like a DK Metcalf if they really have to. That's a lot to give up. Maybe you wouldn't have to give up that much, but a big package to move up to number 1 and potentially select Fernando Mendoza, although I think the Raiders have their heart pretty set on a guy like Mendoza because they also need a quarterback pretty badly. Question from the chat for you, Mehrob, from Caleb Carney. If Tomlin wants to get back into coaching, he wants to know where does he fit best. There's a lot of places, and we already said that he's not going to be coaching this year. He's going to be taking a break off. But let's say he's just fooling us. He's bamboozling us. Where of the open head coaching jobs do you think he would fit best at?
I think one of them would be in the AFC North in Baltimore. Baltimore is a perfect spot for him. It would be a great play. Like I said, I'm thinking of places where he would be successful as a player's head coach, similar to kind of like a Mike Vrabel-esque guy. Baltimore would be good. I think Green Bay would be good. I think even the New York Giants could be an interesting fit. I don't think he fits with the Bengals. I don't think he fits with the Browns. I don't think he fits as a rebuilding head coach. And yeah, I don't think if I'm Mike Tomlin, I wouldn't go for a rebuilding job either. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm thinking of places like that that have talent that's just looking for a guy to lead them in a direction, to build a culture. And I think Mike Tomlin is that's the type of place that I'd want to go. Baltimore, Green Bay, New York, maybe even Miami. I wouldn't love it, but maybe even Miami. Somewhere where he could rebuild the culture, reinvigorate it, and just continue to get a team over the hump, pretty much.
Yeah, my number 1 answer for this is probably the Falcons right now. They've got all the talent in the world. I like that spot a lot for him. I also like the Giants. Those are probably my 1 and 2 if he were to take a job this year. But again, he probably is not going to be taking jobs. But I do expect him, like I said, I don't think he's going to be unemployed for very long. He'll probably get into a TV analyst role or one of those post-game show roles or something because there's going to be a million different teams, a million different TV channels that are going to try and get him to join their networks. We will see what happens in the future for Mike Tomlin. For the Steelers, this is a story that we have to watch moving forward, and we will keep our finger on the pulse here. But he wasn't the only coach to move off of his position. He was the only one to do it willingly. There were 2 other coaches that got fired yesterday, and we'll start off with Greg Roman, longtime offensive coordinator for the Harbaughs, both Jim and John. In fact, he's the only offensive coordinator that Jim Harbaugh has ever had in the NFL in his stints with the 49ers and now when he's with the Chargers, but he moves off after a abysmal performance in that wild card game against the New England Patriots. Again, I'm not going to blame him for specifically this loss. It wasn't exactly entirely his fault, but Greg Roman now over the last 5 years has a history of not having the greatest playoff success. Before he was in LA, he was with Jim's brother John in Baltimore. And we know the playoff success stories, the horror stories that's going down in Baltimore right now with those playoff calls. Greg Roman has not been able to build a successful postseason team, a successful postseason offense, and that is why he gets fired. It might not have been a move that Jim Harbaugh wanted to make, but it is a move that had to be made. I think this is a great move, and that opens up a really intriguing job for a lot of other offensive coordinators, right? Greg Roman officially out, Nolan. Talk to me a little bit about that opening, and where does it rank now? We'll get to the Eagles in a second because they're out there too. Kevin Patullo writing was on the wall since the middle of the season. He is also gone. Those two jobs, I think, jump to the top of your board if you're a free agent offensive coordinator looking for work right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, especially if I'm the Chargers right now, I think Chargers one is pretty high. They have a great team. They have a great They have a great young quarterback who doesn't have the best playoff record. But I mean, other than that, I mean, he's a great quarterback. He's young. He's strong. He's fast. He can do whatever you need. He's got a great running back in Amari Hampton. Najee Harris if he comes back. I mean, you have a good O line when it's healthy. Unfortunately, it's just never healthy. You have a solid receiving core. I mean, I feel like the Chargers is a great spot. Plus, it's also LA. I mean, who's gonna say no to LA? But the Chargers spot is pretty high. If you're an OC, if we're comparing like every head coaching job and OC role right now, I'm putting the Chargers honestly at like maybe 3 or 4. I think it's really high. I think I wouldn't if I was a head coach and I got offered a job as an OC in LA. I think I'd honestly take that because that job is. I feel like the team there is good. The team is set. I think the only thing holding them back is definitely that healthy offensive line. And if you get a good OC on that team, I think they can definitely make a deeper run in the playoffs than what they've been seeing in 0-3 starts the past few seasons.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, Mehrob. There are 4 current teams with offensive coordinator openings: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Detroit Lions, and the Los Angeles Chargers. Those are all really good openings. Really good openings. And there's other teams that have head coaching openings that are probably going to have openings at the offensive coordinator. Teams like the Falcons, teams like the Giants, teams like the Raiders, like the Browns, like the Cardinals, Dolphins. We can go down the whole list here. But just teams that have a head coach in place and need an offensive coordinator, those are probably the top 4 options. Maybe the Ravens you can throw in there as another option. Let's rank those 5 for me. The Ravens, the Bucs, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Chargers. If Mehrob Fatemi is the hot ticket offensive coordinator out on the market, where is he going and in what order?
I think my number one has to be the Chargers right now. The way that the Chargers are playing, I put the Chargers 1. I'll put the That's so tough. I'm gonna probably put the Bucks 2, the Eagles 3, the Ravens 4, and what's the last one? The
The
Giants,
Lions.
the Lions. Oh, then that mixes things up. Chargers.
The Lions
My
are good.
brain. You just put me on the spot.
I
My
know I
brain's
put you
not.
on the spot there. It was tough.
My brain's not. My brain's not. Chargers, Bucks, Lions, Eagles, Ravens. That's my top. That's the 5.
All right, I like that. That's a good list. That's a good list. I put you on the spot there, so you didn't have
Okay.
time to analyze and really break it down. But that like I said, you can't really go wrong with any of these 5 offensive coordinator options. And the hot
Ne-
name that's out there right now is probably going to be Mike McDaniel, assuming he doesn't get a head coaching job, which I would be kind of shocked if he did. Him, Brian Dable, probably the 2 top OC options. Maybe Kevin Stefanski. I expect him to get a head coaching job. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury. I also think he'll get a head coaching job, but that's a little bit more iffy. So there's probably 3 big name offensive coordinators, and there's 5 big name positions to fill right now as far as offensive coordinators go. That math does not work out for one of these teams. In a little bit of a leaner coaching cycle, this is going to get really interesting to watch because These are fascinating, really great teams. I mean, we haven't even touched on the Eagles. Kevin Patullo is gone. They go through this cycle. Jalen Hurts continues to not have consistency at the offensive coordinator position. It is a mess. You still have success, failure with the Eagles, and you can see a very, very common through line. If it is Nick Sirianni's friend that is the offensive coordinator, well, things just don't go well for the Eagles, do they? If it is an actual offensive coordinator, one that is, a Shane Steichen, one that is a Kellen Moore, highly respected around the league, things suddenly go well again. And it's crazy to think. It's kind of weird to see that. Now, obviously, this is because Nick Sirianni is not a good head coach, and he lucked into talent because he's got a very good GM, and that's my little rant. He and Zach Taylor are the same person, except he has more talent. Both of them should be fired, except he won a Super Bowl, so that is not going to happen. He needs to just take his hands off the team. He really does. They've got a great defensive coordinator, and this is what I mean. I went on the radio yesterday, and I was ranking the 7 remaining head coaches. There's not really a wrong answer when you're ranking them because all 7 of them were great. All 7 of them are great. But I caught a lot of flack, and I'm sure I'm going to catch flack from you guys here. I put Mike Vrabel at number 7. And I understand. He's very good. Yep, there it is. I understand. I do. Look,
Wow.
I understand what this what this reaction is for. Mehrob is gone. He's left the chat here. But Mike Vrabel is a great head coach. But what he doesn't bring is scheme. And scheme is really important when you're looking at being a head coach because he might not be a guy like a Zach Taylor or like a Nick Sirianni, but what the other head coaches here bring, and like I said, all of these head coaches are great. He just doesn't have what you need. He doesn't have that extra little oomph that all the other head coaches have. Now, he's not the worst coach on this list, absolutely, but you look at the names that are still in the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, DeMeco Ryans, Sean Payton. These guys are all great legendary coaches or great offensive or defensive minds. Mike McDonald is a great defensive mind. Ben Johnson is a great offensive mind. Mike Vrabel is a great leader of men. And in my brain, leader of men goes below great offensive and defensive minds. I understand. I do. I really do understand why people would be angry at me for that take. But I just think if you're stacking them up bar for bar, if the Patriots didn't have Josh McDaniels, this is a much different season because he is the mastermind behind that offense. If they didn't have a great coordinator group, a great coaching staff, which, again, that's a credit to the coach for being able to hire a coaching staff like that. I just don't think that the Patriots are as good without the staff that they bring. If Vrabel gets replaced with a league average coach, I think the Patriots are as close to what they are right now than any other team in the NFL. I'll let you yell at me, Mehrob, because you got some feelings on this one.
Go, Nolan. All you, buddy.
Oh, we're doing this again. It's gonna flame you after me. Ooh, I like that. I mean, that's definitely one way to look at it. I mean, you really think that? I mean, he took this. They won 5 games last year. I'm not disrespecting with your take, but they won 5 games last year. They have 13 wins this year.
There's only
14.
8 coaches left in the NFL right now, and all of them are really, really good. So I agree. He's a great head coach, and I would love it if he was my head coach. But as far as the 8 head coaches that are here, I would take him 7th out of all the options there.
Yeah, I mean, wait, who's 8th then? Who's your 8th?
I put Sean McDermott at 8. I don't really know what he does, honestly.
It's all just Josh. It's all just Josh Allen.
Yeah, it is. It's all just Josh Allen.
It's all just Josh Allen. But I mean, that's not. The way you broke it down, I can get behind that. Maybe I don't think I'd put him that low. I'd probably put him at the lowest. Is probably like just based off how well he did with the team this year. Kind of making Drake. He didn't really make Drake May the MVP, but he probably gave him the confidence to go out there and just kind of do his thing. The lowest I think I would put him is probably like 5. I think just based off how bad they were last year, and how good they are this year, I think I just couldn't put it. I feel like I just couldn't put them in anything lower than 5. I mean, the way you broke it down though, great. I can definitely see why you say that, but for just me personally, I can't put them lower than 5.
That's fair. Again, the host of the show put him at 3. So that was the big separator. I got a lot of flack for it. So I thought I'd bring it here. Mehrob, you've got a lot of thoughts on this one. I know you do. I know you do.
7 is egregious, Jeremy. 7 is egregious. That is heinous. 7? 7? Jeremy, come on, please. The Patriots have the second lowest points against, means points given up, behind only the Texans, which Texans make sense. We give them that. And actually the Seahawks, so I guess they're third. And they have the highest points for all season long. Mike Vrabel brings a 4-win team to a 14-win team, completely rechanges the franchise, revitalizes it, brings new life to all of New England. And then you're going to put him behind Ben Johnson, who has like 9 wins in the last like 2 minutes of games.
That's coaching.
You and Mr. Bo Nix and their Broncos, you're going to put Sean Payton over Vrabel.
Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame head coach.
Still, we're talking this season, though.
I'm not talking this season. I'm saying Super Bowl on the line right now. Your coach goes down with a mysterious illness, and all 7 of these coaches are here to help you out. You've got Kyle Shanahan, you've got Sean McVay, DeMeco Ryans, Sean Payton, Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, Mike Vrabel, and Sean McDermott. Who are you taking and in what order here? I'm putting Mike Vrabel at number 7.
I'll put Vrabel at 4, and I'm going to say something crazy you wouldn't expect me to say. I'll put him over Mike McDonald. Right now. The only 3 people I'm taking over Mike Vrabel, if my life was on the line to win a Super Bowl, is Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, and Sean Payton. So you're right about the Sean Payton. I'll give you that. But the rest of them, no. No. And it's close. It's nitpicking from 5 through 7, but like the way that Mike Vrabel, I actually am the opposite. I think being a leader of men, because you can have staff that can help, because that's what Josh McDaniels has done for the offense. And Vrabel coaches the defense a little bit, but like you need to be a leader of men, not only for your team, but also for your staff. It needs to go both ways. Sean McDermott has none of that on his team.
Well, he's below.
Ryan, yeah, that's true. And DeMeco Ryan, I mean, he's just too new for me to say that he's better than Vrabel. So I'll put Vrabel at 4. So I guess 4 and 7 is not that bad, but still, it's only because there's so many legendary head coaches. There's literally
that's the thing. Like usually it's not just Hall of Fame head coach. You know, usually Vrabel would be a lot higher, but like there's just so many great head coaches left right now.
That's why they're the best teams in the league right now. It's not this year. It's not about talent. It's about coaching.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Really.
But let's get back to the Eagles. I took us off topic for a second. I apologize for that. But let's talk about the Eagles here because they also have an opening here. Nick Sirianni, like I said, should be fired. He doesn't deserve to be a head coach in the NFL. He's not a good head coach, but he won a Super Bowl, so he's going to be there for a while. Kevin Patullo is gone. This, in my mind, I think jumps out to be the number 1 job. You have a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Jalen Hurts. You have one of, if not the best running back in the NFL in Saquon Barkley, if you can utilize him correctly. You have A.J. Brown for now and Devonta Smith, who form one of, if again, not the best offensive core of wide receiver core in the NFL. You have Dallas Goedert, who's a top 10 tight end, and you have a GM that's going to be willing to spend, not to mention maybe the best offensive line in the game. It is hard to beat all of those factors already being in place, and you see what a good offensive coordinator can do with this team. It's Super Bowl loss and Super Bowl win when they have a competent offensive coordinator on their team. That, to me, if I am Mike McDaniel, I am heading over, packing my bags, going to Philly and saying, hey, I heard you guys needed an offensive coordinator. How you doing? My name is Mike. I would like to work for you. That is where I'm packing my bags and heading to. It's a tough cycle to be a team looking for coaching because there's so many good there's only so many good options and there's so many good places for them to go here. I think it just puts teams like the Chargers at a little bit of a disadvantage. We've already seen the Commanders go out and hire David Blau. He's supposed to be this young up and comer, but he was an assistant offensive quarterbacks coach. So like it's not proven anything, but the Lions were about to hire him as the OC, Nolan, which is why the Commanders went out and snatched him up instead. You don't want him to leave your building, like McVay, like LaFleur, like Shanahan, like Kevin O'Connell, that all left that Washington Commanders building back in 2013. So a lot of big names, a lot of names that are out there right now, but we will break down more of that. I know, Nolan, you have to run here just about now. So thank you for hopping on for the first half of the show here. We're going to continue here going over the 8 teams remaining in the NFL. There are now 8, like I said, teams remaining in the NFL. So, of course, we have to do our power rankings. Guys, there are 8 teams remaining. We are going to go through them in our divisional round power rankings. I'm going to rank them 1 through 8, and then I'll let Mehrob yell at me like he did for those coaches. We're going to start off at number 8, where I have the San Francisco 49ers. This is a 49ers team that, if they were healthy, would be the best, maybe one of the best teams in the NFL. But no George Kittle is a huge loss. They still have McCaffrey, but now instead of a 2-dimensional offense, it's a 1-dimensional offense, and we saw how the Eagles could shut them down other than that crazy trick play, and their defense is injured to all hell. You have the news that Fred Warner is activated. He's allowed to practice, but the news is he's not going to play in the divisional round. If they advance, he would play in the conference championship game, most likely. At number 7, I've got the Chicago Bears. You brought it up. 2-minute wins. They're still wins, but it scares everybody involved. I'm sure it scares Caleb Williams. I'm sure it scares Ben Johnson, although they don't seem to blink in that pressure. That defense is very opportunistic, but the more opportunistic you are, the more likely you are to not get those opportunities or have the ball bounce the wrong way. It's a little dangerous of a way to play, and we've seen that game in and game out. They're the 2 seed because they win games, but now they have to go up against a Rams team that does not really make mistakes. I've got the Bears at number 7. At number 6, I'm going with the Broncos. Bo Nix hater over here, crown me. Bo Nix hater, proudly. Not a fan of Bo Nix, but this is not because of Bo Nix. The Broncos defense is great. It's taken a little bit of a step back. And again, I just don't trust that offense to be what it needs to be. They're like the Bears, except they play the entire fourth quarter. The Bears play an entire second half. The Broncos defense is better, so they have to go back-to-back. I've got the Broncos at number 6 here for us. At number 5, I've got the Houston Texans. The only reason I've got them above the Broncos is because what we saw last night. That defense can turn into offense like we saw on Monday. We have seen a lot of great results from this Houston Texans team. DeMeco Ryans is one of the greatest defensive minds that we have in our game right now, and they have Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter rushing you. They have some of the best corners and safeties in the NFL. It is really impressive to see how they've been able to build this team and how, even with a mediocre offense at best, they've been able to continue to win football games. At number 4, I have the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills here are Josh Allen. I mean, look, it's like he's like the Hulk. Really, that's what he is. People keep calling him Superman, but he's like the Hulk. Obviously, that the famous line from the Avengers, the aliens come in, or Loki comes in, they're like, "I've got an army." Iron Man says, "We've got a Hulk," and that Hulk is Josh Allen. Josh Allen is going to be a game wrecker, a game changer. You have to game plan completely around him, and even when you do, there is nothing that you can do because he is going to smash through your defense, and he is going to make those game-winning plays when they need him to. He can play nearly perfect. and they need him to play nearly perfect because that defense is not very good. But as long as you have Josh Allen, as long as you have that Hulk on your roster, you're going to be able to go up against just about any army that the other team can throw against you. At number 3, I've got the New England Patriots. They won that division. They beat the Bills. They've got to go ahead of them. That looks like the AFC Championship game to me, but both of these teams have pretty tough matchups here. You never really know what's going to happen when you go up against the Texans. You never really know what's going to happen when you go up against the Broncos. Both of those teams have great defenses, and both of those teams have fluky and inconsistent offenses, so you never really know how it's going to go when you play them, so it is a dangerous matchup for both teams. At number 2, I've got the Rams. The reason they're at number 2, they showed some flaws recently. The defense has taken a little bit of a step back. We saw Bryce Young cook them a little bit, and if not for a drop on 4th down, there's a chance that the Panthers go down and drive, at least tie the game, send it to overtime. The Panthers were the worst team in the playoffs, I think, pretty clearly. I understand your thoughts about the Steelers if you think they were worse, but, I mean, the Steelers just ran into a juggernaut defense in the Houston Texans. So I don't think that's a pretty fair assessment of what they were able to do. I think that this Panthers team was the worst, and the Rams, despite an effort from Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford to get them over the hump, looked a little bit concerning to me when we're talking about how they've looked down the stretch here. Matthew Stafford seemingly losing that MVP case, although he's still playing very great football. But that leaves at number 1 the Seattle Seahawks. It's hard to trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs. It really is. But when you have a defense as good as this, and I think, again, defense is kind of the story, defense and coaching, kind of the story of the NFL season this year. That's why it's been all upside down and topsy-turvy, because we're used to offenses being king, but defenses, to me, are king this year in the NFL, and Seattle has a mean defense you do not want to go up against. Sam Darnold's been playing really great football. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to keep that up. He kind of fought a little bit of demons, taking down the Rams in that final, in the last part of the season, and also the 49ers. He gets a rematch against a now depleted 49ers team. We saw them win that game 13-3 last time out. I'd like to see more offensive output from Sam Darnold in the offense, but the defense held him to 3 points with George Kittle last time out, so I'm not super concerned about the Seahawks moving on. They should face the Rams in the NFC Championship game. I'll run through it one more time for you, Mehrob. I've got the 49ers at number 8, the Bears at number 7, the Broncos at number 6, Texans at number 5, Bills at number 4, Patriots at number 3, Rams at number 2, and the Seattle Seahawks at number 1. Those are my divisional round power rankings. Mehrob, I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Honestly, Jeremy, I have nothing to yell at you about.
Whoa.
I have nothing to yell at you about. That was a
That's
great
crazy.
list. I would say the only things I would switch, and this is just my personal take. I would switch the Bills and the Texans right now, just because the Bills wide receiver room is literally depleted. They have like me and you. They have me and you out there running routes on Sunday night or Saturday afternoon, whatever it is, and whenever they play against the Broncos, they're gonna have me and you going out there, Jeremy, with Khalil Shakir and Dawson Knox and Kincaid, because they just lost Gabe Davis for the year. They lose Tyrell Shavers. They have Brandon Cooks out there as well, old Brandon Cooks. I mean, they just don't have a whole lot of weapons. So that's the only reason I would put the Texans over them. And then I would put the Niners at 7 and the Bears at 8. But that's also just me.
That's fair. You don't mess with an old Brandon Cooks. You don't mess with a resurgent Brandon Cooks here. He's been the wide receiver 1 on Super Bowl teams.
When? The Patriots against the Eagles? When he died?
Well, he's taken teams to the Super Bowl, I should say. Wide receiver 1 on the Rams when they made the Super Bowl. Wide receiver 1 on the Patriots when they made the Super Bowl one year. And wide receiver 1 on the Saints, I believe. No, he wasn't on that team.
The Saints to the Super Bowl.
No, he wasn't on that team. But still, he's been the wide receiver 1 on some Super Bowl teams. So he's got the talent. He's got a shot here. You don't think so?
He's just on the older side. I think age is in play. And on top of that, I think that Houston defense is that much of a juggernaut that I would put them at 4. That's just me. So my list is just Seahawks, Rams, Patriots, Texans, Bills, Broncos, Niners, and Bears at 8.
Good list.
That's it.
I like the list. Like I said, 8 teams. It's a little bit harder to differentiate between them, so you have to go a little bit deeper into it. A lot of these teams, again, I'm going to say it because these are the final 8 teams. All of them are great, but all of them also have flaws. There's not a single team in the NFL that'll look at this year and they say, this team is flawless. This team has no issues, and this team should be the Super Bowl favorite. The Seahawks, who we both put at number 1, they've got a huge flaw, right? I don't know how that offense is going to perform in the playoffs. I don't know how much I can trust that offensive line to go up against these elite pass rushing teams. If they played the Texans, I think they get their teeth knocked in, honestly.
The Texans.
The
They beat
Texans.
the Texans in the regular season.
They played the Texans in the regular season.
They beat them.
They beat them. I still think they get their teeth knocked in come playoff time. This is a really good. Again, it's going to be defense versus defense if that ends up being the Super Bowl. I doubt that becomes the Super Bowl just because the Texans offense can't quite get there. But I do like this Seahawks team a lot. I mean, every team, again, every single team has flaws. None of them are perfect. I would not be mad at you if you put really any of these teams in the top 3 of the list. So I think it's tough to rank these teams right now, but we will see what happens over the weekend, Mehrob. Lots of good stuff going on, but it is time for my personal favorite segment. I'm not going to lie to you. I love this one. Mehrob Minute makes its triumphant return. Mehrob, I'm going to throw the floor to you. It is time. What are we covering here on the Mehrob Minute?
We're going to cover something that hits right in my backyard over here in Boston. It's not football. It's not hockey. It's the Boston Celtics. Well, how much do we love this Boston Celtics team right now? You're telling me that without Jason Tatum, this team is sitting in second place in the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying they're trouncing their opponents. They still lose to teams like the Pacers. They still play down to the competition that's been an issue for like the last decade and a half. But they do still play really good basketball. They have moments where Jaylen Brown has been on an absolute tear. He should be at least second, if not the number 1 favorite to win the MVP. I put him in second right now over Luka Doncic, just behind Shai. But at the end of the day, when I'm looking at the Celtics team, they have all the pieces to be successful. Joe Mazzulla is a damn good head coach. The way I don't know if you guys saw that press conference recently when he just literally said illegal screen to literally every question after the Pacers lost. That's Joe Mazzulla for you. He just shows up. He's just there. You're never gonna get anything out of him. You think he was ever talking to Jaylen Brown about his hip problem? Yeah, I was talking to him. Did you hear what he said? No, I couldn't hear him. He was mumbling. Like, that's just Joe Mazzulla for you. He's just Joe Mazzulla. He's a great head coach, though. Defensive mind. Very underrated defensive mind, and that team is playing really well. The unsung hero about this team is the bench that has showed up big time. Josh Minnow is playing great basketball. Neemias Queta off the bench. They have a lot of pieces coming off the bench. Hugo Fernandez, their first round draft pick. Big time two-way player. If you guys are not tuning into basketball, playoffs are right around the corner in about 3 months here. Better lock in. And Jason Tatum is already reported to be trying to make a push for February or March. I don't really want to talk about it yet because who knows if he's going to actually play. But if he actually plays, this team can actually come out of the Eastern Conference. And the Celtics right now are a really fun team to watch in basketball.
Yeah, everyone thinks that the East is wide open because a guy like Jason Tatum is not going to be participating potentially in the playoffs. But if he comes back in February or March, I think that's way too early. I would hold him out into the playoffs, honestly, so we can get fully healthy because the Celtics are going to make the playoffs. They're third place in the East right now, maybe even second. Let me look at the standings here, but they're playing really good. You look at those MVP odds. Jaylen Brown, 4th place, only trailing Shea, Luka, and Cade. I think you could make the argument that he goes above Cade, honestly, too, despite Cade Cunningham playing really great basketball for the Pistons. It feels like Shea's award to lose. Who knows what happens with that 65-game minimum rule? It can throw literally any of these contenders out of the race, like it's thrown Jokic completely out of the race at this point. But there's a lot of great players. A lot of great players. A lot of great teams here. The NBA is reaching that trade deadline here I want to stick with the Celtics here because that's that Mehrob minute. But what do you think the Celtics need to add? Because, again, they're not a juggernaut. They've lost a couple pieces. They need a center. They could use one. I know Minot's playing really good, but they could use a real center. Is there anyone that you're targeting with the trade deadline coming up in a month or two? In about a month here.
I still think I just don't know who you're going to be able to give up, but I do think they need to go out there and try and find themselves a big man. I still think they have a size issue. I love Neemias Queta. He's nice. He's a nice player. He's able to get you 10 and 10 any given night. But unfortunately, you're not always going up against Pascal Siakam. And nothing against Pascal Siakam. He's just not the best center. And Jay Huff. Sometimes you're going up against Victor Wembanyama or Donovan Clingan or Karl Anthony Towns, or any of the centers on the Detroit Pistons because they have like 5 of them. They just need to go out there and find a big man. So when they go up against these teams in the playoffs, they actually have an opportunity to box out to win these games because rebounding is so crucial come playoff time. They have shooters. I think their offense is decent. I think their defense is solid. But I do think they have a big time issue in the paint, and if they don't figure that out, I don't see them coming out of probably. I'd say, depending on how healthy Jason Tatum is, they might be like a second round exit, maybe a conference finals, but they're not going to make any finals or make any noise in that finals series if they don't have a center. They need to get themselves a legit either power forward to pair up with Neemias Queta, or just another center to put Queta on the bench, to have Queta come off the bench. Just another big-time body down in the low post to get rebounds. That's all you need.
And there's going to be a couple of those available, but those are going to be highly coveted. The Lakers could use one of those too. There's plenty of playoff teams or near playoff teams that could use a big man, a center, to bring their whole roster together. Those guys are a little far and far and few between when you're talking about the NBA nowadays. There's a lot. Again, there's plenty of big guys out there, but you're looking for a good big man that you can play, for 30 minutes a game, 25 minutes a game. That's going to be a little bit tough to find around the NBA. But thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Triple Threat Show. We have been your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus and Mehrob Fatemi. We'll be back tomorrow previewing everything you need to know from around the world of sports. We'll go a little bit deeper into some NBA topics because the NBA trade deadline is right around the corner. We'll talk about who may or may not be traded and which team should be trading them. Anthony Davis no longer needs surgery. Potentially he's back on the trade block from the Dallas Mavericks. How much is a trade for him going to cost with all the injury concerns surrounding him? We'll talk about that and much more. But you've been listening to the Triple Threat Show. We've been your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus and Mehrob Fatemi. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.